The EVALI crisis was a vaping crisis that killed a bunch of people. They had ground glass opacities in the lungs, all these things that sound like COVID. But it was about 6 months before COVID. It was pinned down to some nicotine and THC pens. And eventually the CDC said, well, about 70% of these things have vitamin E acetate. It must be vitamin E acetate. Vitamin E acetate's been in vape pens for 10 years. It's not vitamin E acetate. It's probably pesticides they're not looking for. And a couple of testing labs we know in the space were finding high levels of pesticides in those pens. Those pesticides, the nature of them means that they can be in parts per million, maybe parts per billion in cannabis. You put them through an extraction system and they're in parts per thousand. Like the cannabinoids might enrich threefold in the pens. Like they might go from the plant from 20% to 80%. Maybe 60% in the pens, but you can see the pesticides go up 100-fold in concentration. And so you don't want to have an unregulated vape pen thing out there when the cannabis field right now has two different regulatory structures. One where you can grow outdoor hemp and no one can really QC it or does QC it, and you can load it with pesticides, doesn't have to go through safety testing, and ends up sold into gas stations outside of whether Amendment 3 votes yes or no.